So, I don't know if you know this, I don't really care for sports ball, but I do live in Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl this past weekend. And not only does that mean there's a lot of really crazy events going on in KC right now, it also means all my loved ones are off work this week. So I'm going to take some time to spend the time with the people that matter. But that doesn't mean we don't have a little bit of time for some Achilles, son of Godzilla. That was legitimately the name of this cat's mother. Come on. I'm just going to start getting treats when we start. That's not the worst idea. That doesn't mean we don't have time for some min-maxing for fun and profit. My name is Tommy. His name is Achilles. Hey, what's up here? What is that? Oh, yeah, you go get it? You go to get up here and get that? Get the treat? Oh, he got it. Oh, good boy. And my subscriber count just jumped through the roof. Anyway, it's a short one. Ow! That was my hand. It's a short one. It's kind of a unique one. This space can certainly be used for more than character builds. Mr. Michael Baker, asking the real questions. How to survive levels 1 through 5. How to close this bag of treats before Achilles eats all of them. Don't take my coffee. No more treats for you. Anyway, low-level play can be a bear. We all know it. We've all lost characters before their prime, before their feats came online, so on and so forth. And in addition to talking about a low-level cleric build, the Merciful healer no less, we'll talk about some ways that you can make sure your character survives to 9th level magic to make sure your GM has as much of a headache as is humanly possible. Today, this episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit was brought to you in part by the man who requested it, Mr. Michael Baker. Thanks for your help, buddy. Here we go. Okay, so though certainly this character could do a lot more stuff than we are going to present, I am going to be building with levels 1 through 5 in mind exclusively. We are optimizing very specifically just to make sure our friends survive to that second attack and a full attack action. It's been requested to build around the Merciful healer cleric, and so we shall. A Merciful healer must choose the healing domain, does not get a second domain, and must worship a deity that grants the healing domain. They must channel positive energy. They cannot target undead with positive energy, but don't provoke attacks of opportunity when using the heal skill to stabilize. At 3rd level, they, sort of like a paladin, can remove conditions when they do that channel energy, fatigue, shaken, sickened. At the beginning, then it ticks on up and up to different conditions. It doesn't really replace a whole lot of much. It does sort of shoehorn our choice of deity a little, but that's fine. We can live with that. Since basically we're trying to channel energy into the ground here, today's race will be a half-elf. Usually when I'm thinking an optimized race for a build, I'm thinking around that favored class bonus and adding 1/3 to the amount of damage dealt or healed when the cleric uses channel energy. Doesn't mean a lot in the long game, but in the short game, we'll be healing several d6s +1, and that +1 might matter. When there's not a lot of total hit points, you feel one a little harder, you know what I mean? For our feats, of course, we gotta choose that selective channeling, so when we're using our big burst of heal everybody a number of times per day equal to 3+ charisma modifier, man, that really should have been wisdom. That'd have been so much better if it was wisdom. And rant, we aren't also healing our opponents, assuming our opponents are living creatures. Extra channel at level 3 for 2 additional channels, then fateful channel last. I had to go back and check this one, and we talked about this a little while ago when we built this build basically, except on an oracle out to 20, and you know, follow this card right up here. I was kind of proud of it. In fact, Pharasma does grant the healing domain, though one has to wonder how many people have taken fateful channel under the premise that they worshipped a god of death or graves. Put this on, like, Urgathoa. Can you imagine? When you channel positive energy to heal the living. Okay, yeah, I guess if your follower of Urgathoa got that, it's real head-scratchy weird. You grant each creature you heal the ability to roll twice and take the better on a single attack roll, skill check, or save within a number of rounds equal to your Cha bonus, minimum of 1. Multiple uses of this ability do not stack, but they do reset the duration. A creature can only benefit from 1 instance of this channel effect at a time, which is not horrible. Even if this just means everyone attacking gets to roll with advantage, that can tip the encounter your way really fast, which can be even more important in high-level play. Okay, now that we've got that one out of the way, and for the record, yes, patronage at any tier gets you access to a Google sheet that these characters are made on, This one isn't going to have a Google Sheet, this one's a little easier. And really the brunt of today's video is just surviving low-level play. I think it's happened to all of us at some point in our careers. Maybe it was some kind of sweet blaze of glory. Maybe it was just bad luck. Maybe that longbow crit for ×3 happened to take you from full to dead in a single shot at first level, which is entirely possible. Maybe you fought too many wolves and you foolishly didn't take enough swashbuckler levels to have kip up and standing up provoked and you were tripped again and then you were eaten. Rest in peace, Bastion. Or maybe, and this legitimately happened to me at one point, the party's first level monk decides they want to, rather than climb down a tree and walk on the ground, climb up a tree and jump from tree branch to tree branch 20 feet off the ground, moving through a forest, fails the acrobatics check real hard, falls, fails the acrobatics check to treat the fall as 10 feet less, hits the ground, takes 2d6 points of damage, I roll max, and suddenly they're on the ground bleeding out, and also a Damphir. And no one knows how the positive-negative energy affinity thing works except that player, who, when the healer comes over to try to help him, starts freaking out. A character was killed before they got off the ground enough to ensure that they couldn't just get accidentally blown away. While I consider myself to be a fair GM, and I'm not afraid of killing a player, what I will say is that sucks. When you've just made this PC, the PC's embarking on a new adventure, and oops, bad thing happened. However, there are several things we can do as players to hedge our bets against this kind of thing. And as a GM, there's a couple things you can introduce to your games to kind of balance the field a little without just playing easy mode for your players. First off, for my players, having something like the Merciful Healer can certainly be a lifesaver for your party. An extra 1d6 thrown around, though certainly not enough to out-heal damage, might be enough to put a band-aid on someone until the combat ends and you can apply real healing. This is the part of the video where you think I'm going to bring up the Wand of Cure Light Wounds, but not quite. Not today. Yeah, it's super good. We all know that it is. But I don't want to make a video saying, buy this! Always heal after combat! Never lose again! Because that's boring. However, in that same vein, one of my first suggestions for low-level players to make sure they can survive stuff is to suggest they buy or include in loot tables wands, potions, scrolls, things of that nature. Y'all know how much I love my dexterity and charisma-based characters. Almost all of them have Use Magic Device as a class skill. Sink a rank in it. You don't need to be great at using wands because they only fail and lose a charge if you roll a natural 1. But grabbing something like a Wand of Shield, a Wand of Mage Armor, Bark Skin if you've got the money, can certainly help hedge your bets at low-level play. This is especially true if you're waiting on a couple of classes to, level into things. Maybe you want to do a more traditional Gish, not a Magus, and go Wizard Fighter or something. You decided to take the Wizard levels first, and you don't have all the infinite spells in your spellbook. A Wand of Mage Armor means you could grab Grease, Color Spray, Sleep, and make sure the bad guys stay locked down. Same's true for potions if you don't have someone who can UMD. Will this eat into your starting gold a little? Yes. But I mean, Rich Parents is as Rich Parents does. Also, I usually assume that you might not be at full wealth by level all the time, but that your GMs will try to make sure that that happens because it is kind of an important factor of the game. The second point for surviving low-level games for players, remember that the bad guys will be more or less about as squishy as you, or failing that, less smart than you. I think it's pretty iconic at low-level play that you'll fight. I'm sure at low-level play we've all fought the too many wolves or too many rats encounter. Remember that they can't strategize. I think it is more than reasonable a complaint to bring up to your game master if for some reason the wolves just automatically know how to flank. Wolves are a lot of things. Bloodthirsty cultists, not one of them. Ergo, their tactics probably are different. On the other side of that, your standard low-level, monstrous or otherwise humanoid probably has about as many hit points as you do at level 1. Taking advantage of the terrain can also help deal with them. Remember how I said I had a monk fall 20 feet and die? Things like goblins don't have the best CMD in the world, and if you think you could stand the attack of opportunity provocation, bull rushing them off a cliff could certainly do it. Bull rushing them into a tree for damage could certainly do it, if you think you can't hit them but could hit their CMD. I guess I don't know what build that is off the top of my head, but I bet it exists. Speaking of terrain, something that also will help hedge your bets at low level play is remember to be diligent about your gear. Dying of exposure is a real thing in low level play. Dying to quicksand in low level play is a very Zendaran thing to do, but it does happen. Same's true, and I'm sure we've all seen it like 5 times at this point. The like level 4 caster who has to cross a river and rolls their swim check really badly and goes under and barely doesn't drown. A lot of that can be solved by buying rope. Grappling arrow, grappling hook, tie the rope to a barbarian, tie the rope to the druid's bear, you name it. There's several ways you can hedge your bets here and make sure that the environment isn't what kills you. By that same token, in low level play, I think it's also super important to pack a ranged weapon. Even if that's just a light crossbow. 1d8 points of damage, 19 to 20 times 2 with a range increment of 80 feet. Should you get hurt, or should you have remembered to pack a climber's kit / pitons? Yes, it is indeed pronounced pitons, that's what I'm told. So you can get the high ground on your low level opponents and fire down. Could be more than enough damage to maybe even outright take things out on your own as that first level wizard who doesn't have enough spell slots and ran out and has to start pew-pewing. Or the fighter with 3 hit points who now has to rely on the wand of summon monster that the rogue picked up to make sure they have a flanking buddy. Is it your exact build? No. But if it helps you get to your exact build, probably so much the better, right? Last thing I wanted to bring up on this video, a great way to help your players survive low level play, GMs, without just like making the encounters arbitrarily easy, is to introduce the elephant in the room homebrew mechanics that we use a modified version of here on the channel. I allow style feats to auto progress. I try to destroy all the feat chains that I can. The primary thing that helps here is that point blank shot is not a prerequisite. The level 1 ranged character here can just begin play with precise shot. The Unchained Rogue does not have to wait till 3rd level, and everyone else doesn't have to wait till they can buy the Agile enchantment if they want to be dexterity based to start doing dex to damage, which means that these characters can start getting their damage out a little faster and a little more reliably. I think it's definitely also super fair to introduce these rules if you're using them on your players, also to your monsters. I think having an even battlefield in terms of rules is the foundation of a fair and equal gaming space. But what I also think is, if we did not use Elephant in the Room, the players are waiting till like 3rd level to get all the things they need to excel, or they're waiting for magic items, which could take even longer. Meanwhile, the ogre has all of its strength at level 3 and is swinging for way too much damage in the party, and is swinging for what reasonably can one-shot a PC. And this is part of the reason I brought up the wands and potions first. I will always think that prioritizing your defense before your offense is a better choice, and to survive low-level play is part of that. Nevertheless, Elephant in the Room's ability to reduce some of the taxes to the builds that players like to play, making them come online a little faster, means that low-level play can be survivable and also, to be honest, fun. So many people I've met in my life would prefer to start at like level 3, level 5, something like that, just so they don't have to deal with this. Elephant in the Room can help make those low-level adventures, low-level stories you might want to tell, a little more bearable for your players. But I digress. What do we think? What is your most embarrassing character death in low-level play? Throw it in the comments. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. By patron request, it's some third-party stuff next week. We're going back to Final Fantasy D20 next week, optimizing around the Gambler. Like I said with the halflings, it in fact is better to be both lucky and good. I'll see y'all next time.